So thank you for the introduction, Reed. Again, my name is David Green. I am with T3 Live. Just a quick from you guys out there, so I know what to gear this towards a little bit. How many people out there who are listening now are what they would consider active traders? Active traders. If you're an active trader, pop up a Y. Active trader. And the more that can participate, the better. Would be appreciated. All right, good. Most of what I do is day trading. Probably about 90% of what we do is day trading, although we do swing trading on occasion when things set up for us to do it. But we are more geared towards day trading. That is what I've been doing for 15 years since I left the Florida Stock Exchange. That is what I was brought to T3 to do, and that is where my specialty lies. So I've been with T3 for about a year now, and two things I do with T3. One, we have what we call a trading lab, and that is a 5-day live class. Oh, P.S., before I even get started with any of this stuff, guys, we're going to do something a little differently in that I'm not going to try to sell you anything tonight. Zero, zilch. I'm not talking about products. I'm not talking about how much things cost. Zero, nothing. However, remind me if I don't towards the end of the night that I want to invite everybody in here to come in and to actually come into my room and watch us trade live during the day for a few days, and then they can decide whether they want to continue with us or not. Okay, so there's going to be no sales pitch tonight whatsoever. So one of the things I do at T3 is I have a trading lab that is 5 days long. We have had that trading lab for 9 months now. We have sold out every lab. Our next one is next week it starts. That is sold out also, and we do it once a month. I only have 20 students in the lab at a time, and what we do in that lab is go over our actual 6 trading techniques, a couple of which I'm going to show you tonight, and I'm going to show you some of the technical tools we use. I want to try to get you guys as much information as I can without putting a lot of clutter in here. So I'm going to show you some trades we actually did. I'm going to show you some trades we actually have. What you're looking right here now on my charts, guys, is this is live. This is the spiders. This is what they did today from 199 to 203 back to 199. So the lab is 5 days long. We're together probably about 50 hours during the week. We talk about our 6 trading setups. We talk a ton about psychology, or I don't like to use that word psychology. I like to use the word rules. You know, we're all a little crazy for doing this to begin with, but it's not really psychological, it's just rule-based. In addition to my trading lab, what I also do is I have what we call the green room. And the green room is a virtual trading floor. And in the green room, we trade the markets live together all day long. So once people have gone through and taken the trading lab, they have the option now of joining us in the green room. And in the green room, every trade that we do is posted. It is posted before we get in the trades. Stop orders are posted and profit targets are posted. So we trade the markets live all day, every single day. Every trade we do is posted. Nothing is hidden. Right now in the green room, we have about 80 members. I have had 120 people in the labs, and 80 of them have signed up for the green room afterwards. And we trade the markets live all day long. For the first time 3 weeks ago, after 9 months, I opened up the green room to a free 2 or 3 day trial. The response we got was pretty incredible. I'm going to invite all you guys that are here also to come hang out with us for a couple of days. For the last 3 weeks, guys, here are our stats. Believe it or not, most people don't, so that's why I invite them in to come hang out with us. We have had 70 trades in the last 3 weeks, including today. We have made money on 64, lost money on 4, and broke even on 2. 64, 2, and 4, those are facts. Every single person who was in the green room with me can attest to that. I know it's hard to believe, but that's why I want to invite all you people to come and hang out with me for a couple of days, if you so choose. No cost, no nothing. You come, you hang out for a few days. If you see anything we like, then we can talk about taking the next step. I can tell you that the lab is about 25% of what the last gentleman on here was offering you, and we spend about 50 hours together, and then the green room, you can go from there. So what I want to do, and what I want most to do, is talk to you about some of our actual trading techniques. And please ask questions as we go. I'm going to show you some trades that we actually did today. I'll show you one that didn't work, and I'll show you a bunch that did work. Anybody who comes on here and all they do is talk about how much money they make and how much money they make and how much money they make, tell me about how much money you lose. When people tell you that they make money 80% of the time, that does not guarantee that they're a successful trader, right? We all know that. If the 20% of the time you lose money more than overwhelms the 80% of the time that you make money, you're not a successful trader. So everybody loses money. Everybody has losing trades. It's how you handle the losing trades that is much more important than how you handle the winning trades. Right? The most important thing in any kind of trading is money management. And I can talk about that for 3 hours, but I'd rather get you guys some actual content and show you some of our actual techniques for the next little bit. So here you guys see a chart, and this is a chart. Let me get rid of this for you. And please ask questions as we go. I have no problem answering them. This is a chart, an actual chart of the SPY from today. An actual chart of the SPY. So I'm going to talk to you guys for a few minutes about some of the tools that we use to make the decisions that give us the 64-2-4 record over the last 3 weeks. And it doesn't matter what stock you use. One of the things that I've been able to do and why our labs and green room is so successful is I kind of tried to make this as easy as possible. It is not really that complicated to learn our techniques. It takes a long time to learn all the nuances and everything, but I don't have to click a million buttons. I don't have to look at a million charts. I do not have 1,000 things in my charts. It's kind of very simple. The hundreds and thousands of people that I've taught how to do this, it wasn't the technical analysis part that they had a problem with. It was the money management and all the other psychological stuff that goes along with this. About 80% of the trades that we do are based purely on technical analysis. That is it, guys. One of the first things I ask my traders when they get into a trade is, why did you get into that trade? Why did you buy Amber here? Why did you buy Amber here? And if the answer to me is, I thought, I stopped them right there, and I said, we try to think as little as possible when we're trading. And if the answer they give me is, I hoped, then we got a real problem. Right? Hope is not a strategy in trading or in life. So on 80 to 90% of our trades, we are going to have a specific technical reason why we got into a trade. I got into Amber because the stock moved down a significant amount and hit my 65 EMA. My stop order went in a portion below that. Stop did not get hit. We put our target price out, and we took our profits. Why is it dark brown, black, dark blue? That's just the way I have it set up. Nobody usually has a problem with it. Anyone else having a problem seeing my candlesticks and the lines in it? Anybody? All right, everybody else is good? All right, as long as you can see it, we're good. All right, thank you, guys. So again, you gotta have a good technical reason for getting into a trade. So first lesson I'll tell you guys out there is we don't throw darts, right? You don't get a 65-2-4 record by throwing darts. There is no such thing as having a 50-50 chance when you get into a trade. It's not even close to that. You have a 0% chance of being in a successful trade if you're not getting into it at the proper time. So again, about 80 to 90% of what we do is technical analysis. The other 10 to 20%, guys, are trades that we will do based on me having done this for 30 years and seen this movie 50,000 times before, and we know how it's going to end. So it's a good mix when we're in our green room. All right, let me show you a couple of the technical tools that it is that we use. And my most important technical tool, guys, is called the moving average. That is our most important technical tool, is the moving average. And I'm actually going to get rid of one of these for now to make it a little less confusing. Let me just get rid of this 9. We can talk about it in a minute, but I want to get rid of that for 9 for now. Okay, so in my charts, I have 3 moving averages. The blue line that you see is a 15 exponential moving average. The tan line that you see is a 65 exponential moving average, and the yellow line that you see is a 200 exponential moving average. Once again, 15, 65, and 200. Most important technical tool are our moving averages. By far, what moving averages do is show us support and show us resistance. Support, when a stock is coming down to one of our moving averages, is where we may want to buy the stock. Resistance is when a stock is moving up to one of our moving averages and we may want to sell or short a stock. So moving averages, our moving averages show us potentially where to buy and where to sell or short stocks. That's what our moving averages show. In addition to a 15, 65, and 200 exponential moving average, we have a simple relative strength index. I'll talk about that in a few minutes when I get into some of our actual trading techniques. Relative strength index very simply shows us when a stock can possibly be overbought, gone too high too fast, or oversold, gone down too far too fast. And then we look for opportunities to buy or sell the stocks based on that. The other line that you have in here is what we call a VWAP, or a volume weighted average price. This also comes into play when stocks have moved very far and can be a support or resistance level. In this case, you can see how amber went from 75.50 down to 73, down $2.50, and hit our VWAP, which was a support level. Actually hit our 65 EMA also, which was another support level. Okay, so 80% of our trades, very simply, guys, we're doing when stocks hit lines. It's that simple. And you'll be amazed, and you'll see when I walk you through some of these trades how well these, for lack of a better word, lines work. So any questions about 15, 65, 200, VWAP, or RSI? Now, the reason I use 15, 65, and 200, very simply, guys, is because that's what works best for what we do. A lot of trial and error. This is what gives us our success rate. 15, 65, and 200. Anybody have any quick questions about that? Again, I want to get to as much content as I can in the 45 minutes that we have. But if you do, I'll be happy to answer. Okay. Where do you find the VWAP? Well, okay, very quickly, all of my traders use Thinkorswim for a charting service. Every single one of my traders use Thinkorswim. Only for charting, not for execution. For execution, most of us use Lightspeed, which is the actual trading platform, which I'll show you in a little bit. And if you're in Thinkorswim, everything is a right click in the chart, and you can add studies, delete studies, and when you go to edit studies, you'll see a big thing like this come up, and then we can simply put in whatever we want, and VWAP is all the way down here. So I'm not sure what platform you're on, but very simple to do when you're using Thinkorswim. The reason we all use this, guys, is because we all come up with the same numbers, then we're all looking at the same exact charts. You can get a paper trading account for Thinkorswim. I would suggest if you're going to join me for a few days in the green room that you do that, because you'll be able to follow what we're doing. And also put in 15, 65, 200, and relative strength. So maybe make a little note of that. 15, 65, 200, relative strength, and VWAP. All right, let's talk about our first trading technique. First actual trading technique. And the first trade that we're going to talk about is called a trend trade. A trend trade will be by far our most profitable trade. Every single trade that we do beyond the trend trade, we look to make between 25 cents and $1 every single time we make a trade. So in other words, if I'm buying something when it hits my VWAP or a moving average, I'm just going to look to make between 25 cents and $1 on that trade. Setup for the RSI is also 20 and 80. Again, it depends on how you put it in. but I use 20 for oversold and 80 for overbought. 20 for oversold, 80 for overbought, if you can find how to set it up. Okay? So we're going to talk about a trend trade. And first of all, what is a trend trade? A trend trade is when a stock is going in the same direction for a long period of time. That is what a trend trade is. A trend trade looks like a ski slope. So I'm just going to show you a couple examples of them so that we know what we're looking at. Amber was in a uptrend for most of the day. Now, things got really wackadoodle when the Fed came out. Look at NVRO, guys, in a trend for most of the day. All right, so I just want to show you what a trend looks like. UAL. I want a ski slope in a trend for most of the day. Okay, so I want a ski slope. That's what defines a trend, number one. That's what defines a trend. First rule for a trend trade: no trend can be established till at least 9:45. All this nonsense in amber at the beginning of the day, right? Stock opened up doesn't mean it's in a trend. Stock goes down doesn't mean it is a trend. But now, guys, after 11 o'clock, you can clearly see that amber has established that it is in a trend. Clearly, clearly, clearly. So how do we enter into a trend trade? It's very simple. When we've established the stock is in a trend, when the stock pulls back and hits our 15 exponential moving average, we want to enter into the trade with our full amount of shares with a limit order. With a limit order. Great question. For most of our day trades, we are always looking at a 5-minute chart, and only a 5-minute chart for a trend trade. Okay? So we're always starting on a 5-minute chart when we're looking for support and resistance. When we have no support or resistance is when we start looking for support or resistance. Like amber, we were watching all day. And you can see there are no moving averages above the stock. And what that means is there's no resistance levels. But if we start going to a longer term chart, a 30-minute chart, a 1-hour chart, and look at a 1-hour chart, guys, we had a resistance level of 77.22. So when we were watching amber today, we knew if the stock spiked up to 77.20, we were going to short that stock based on a 1-hour resistance levels. So when these moving averages, and when they're much more powerful, is when you're looking at longer term charts. When we have a moving average on a 1-hour or a 4-hour or a daily chart, those are significant levels. Significant levels. And you look at amber, stock is 63. Okay, 77 and 80.56 is our 200-minute moving average. There's no question in my mind we will all be short amber at 80 for a swing trade. No question. Stock goes from 63 to 80, we're shorting it for a swing trade. We'll have a stop if it gets above, and then a target if it starts turning back down from there. But again, I'm getting a little ahead of myself. Let's talk about this one trade. I'll try to get 2 trades before we finish. All right. So amber has clearly established that's in a trend. We are in the green room. I'm telling all my traders, guys, if amber pulls back to our 15, we're going to enter a trend trade. Beautiful. I like to assume, and I'll use 300 shares as a full amount trade. Some of my traders are doing 100. Some of my traders are doing thousands. Okay? I like to use 300 shares because we were going to exit this trade in stages once we get in it. So in a trend trade, we enter, pulls back to the 15 EMA. We are long this stock at, let's just call it 72.50 to make it easy. Okay? The first thing we do immediately, we put in a stop 50 cents below the moving average that we entered the trade. I am risking 50 cents on this trade. That is it. If I buy this at 52.50 and I buy 300 and it goes down 50 cents, I lose $150. I am out of the trade. We always establish our risk first, guys. Always, always, always. Never worry about how much you're going to make until you worry about how much you're going to lose. All right? Very, very important. So we now have entered into the amber trend trade at $78.50. In a $72 stock, when we make 50 cents, 73, I am selling 100 shares. When we make $1, 73.50, I am selling another 100 shares. Okay, so we're getting out of this in stages. Up 50 cents, I'm taking, and it depends on the price of the stock. Probably in a $72 stock, we like to use 1%, guys. All right, so probably after 70 cents, I'm going to sell one. After $1.40, I'm going to sell another. In a $50 stock, sell one up 50 cents, sell one up $1. So in a trend trade, use like 1% to start getting out of your trades. Okay, very simple. So here, we're in at 72.50, up 70 cents is 73.20. We sold 100 shares. Up another 70 cents is 73.40. We sold another 100 shares. So in this trade, we have made $75 and $140 on 100 shares and 100 shares. So we're up 220 bucks on this trade. Great, beautiful. In a trend trade, we do not exit the last portion of our shares until it breaks the trend by 50 cents, the same way where we entered it. So we sold 100 shares here, we sold 100 shares here. Here it came back and tested the trend at 73.93. Didn't break it by 50 cents, tested it again, and here's where it broke it by 50 cents. So from 73.93, 73.40, right here is our stop on the last 100 shares. So we got in at 72.50. The last 100 shares, we would have been stopped out with $1 profit. Make 75 cents, make $1.40, out with $1 profit. Very simple. I'm going to show you one more example of this. Not a difficult trade. When we've established the stock is in a trend, we let it pull back to the 15, we enter the trade. We get out of a third, we get out of a third. When it breaks the trend, we exit the last third of our trade. One other thing, guys. Once we've entered this trade at 72.50 and our stop is 72, we keep raising this stop to 50 cents below the trend. Here it's 73.05. Our stop is now 72.50. And that's what ultimately got us out of the last 100 shares. Here it's 73.90. Our stop is 73.40. Not very difficult. Maybe a little confusing the first time you're seeing this, but not very difficult to get into, to execute, and to get out of. Let's see if we can find one more example of this trade. Okay, here we go. Expedia. Expedia. No, and this is a good point, Lisa. This is the only time, let me go back to Amber. This is the only time we ever use the 15 EMA to enter into a trade, okay, is when a stock is in a trend. 15 is the weakest of our moving averages. As a matter of fact, it's only going to work when stocks are in trends. Okay, very, very important, and I'm glad you brought that up, Lisa. The only time we ever use the 15 EMA is to enter into a trend trade. When I talk about my next trading setup, we're going to talk about the 65 and the 200, okay? So 5-minute chart, and we only use the 15 EMA, and that's the only time we ever use the 15 EMA. Let's look at Expedia. So we have one more example of this. All right, Expedia opens up, great, it's up all day, doesn't give us a chance, doesn't give us a chance, doesn't give us a chance. Here, it pulls back to our 15 EMA, and let's just call it 128 to make it simple, okay? Now, in a $128 stock, I'd probably put a 75-cent stop in. But no matter what trend trade I get in, 75 cents to $1 is the most I'm ever going to risk, ever. I don't care if it's a $300 stock. So we entered Expedia at 128. And these are trades we did today, guys. And some people ask me, how are you filtering stocks? How are you looking at stocks? Very quickly, we have a watch list with over 200 stocks on it. Very quickly, we have 75 people that work together every single day in the green room that are watching all these stocks. And we have some filters to help us find them. So there's several criteria to find the stocks. We have entered at 128. Our stop goes in at 127.50. Now this will work, Jonah, this will work for any stock that you want to put in. Any stock that you could put a chart to, it will work for. Couple of quick criteria, okay? Just so you guys know. Not trading stocks that don't trade at least 1.5 million shares a day. We're not trading stocks that don't have a range of at least $1.50 per day, so we want some volatility. And we're not trading stocks that don't have a lot of liquidity. And what I mean by liquidity is big spread between the bid and the offer. Yes, it's being recorded, so you will get it. But Lisa, let me put this up there, okay, real quick for anyone who has to leave, if I can. Let me put up my email. Very simply, dave@t3live.com, and we'll talk more about this before I leave. Or if Reed can put that up there for everyone to see. dave@t3live.com. So anyone who has to leave now, if you're interested in coming and hanging out a couple of 3 days with us, send me an email there, and I will give you a day, and you could, don't everyone do it right now, and I will give you a day, and you can come and watch us actually trade the markets live with these techniques for a few days, okay? So for those of you who had to leave early, there it is, dave@t3live.com. Do I trade stocks under $20? Very rarely. Very rarely. All right, let me walk you through this example of Expedia again. We're watching Expedia. It's $130. Starts pulling back to our 15 EMA at 128. Guys, we're entering a trend trade in Expedia. That's all I have to say to my guys. They're going to put a limit order in, full amount at 128. Stop goes in at 127.50. Now, at $128 stock, I'm selling one up $1, 129. Okay, it comes in a little bit, no big deal. It's not even come close to breaking our trend. I'm selling another one up $1 at 130, right here. Okay, we have 100 shares left. We're getting out of that when it breaks this by 50 cents. This is 129.60, so 129.10 is where we would have exited the last 100 shares of our Expedia. In at 128, we make $1, we make $2, and we make $1. So on a 300 share trade, guys, 100, 200, and 100, $400 on a 300 share trade never went against us. And I don't mind risking 150 to make 300. I don't mind in the trading that we do having an even risk reward. I don't mind risking 50 cents to make 50 cents. Okay, and I'll tell you why. 65, 2, and 4 is why. When you're right so many more times than you're wrong, it's okay to have equal risk, especially when we're day trading. We're day trading. That's what we do. For the most part, we're trading during the day, right? So it's fine to have an even risk reward. Look, if you're swing trading, if you're investing, absolutely not. I want to have a 10-to-1 risk reward, a 5-to-1. But for day trading, you don't need that. You don't need that. People ask me that all the time. You're risking 50 cents to make 50 cents? Well, let me ask you guys a question. Would you risk 50 cents to make 50 cents if you were right 8 out of 10 times or 7 out of 10 times? You know, what would the answer to that be? The answer to that would be 100% yes, right? Okay? So another beautiful example of a trend trade, Expedia. And if the trend trade doesn't work, guys, you simply get out of it. You lose your trade. As a matter of fact, in every single one of our trades, if they don't work, we're getting out of them. And we're getting out of them very quickly. Okay? That is the key to this. That is the key to this. One other quick thing, and it's a little psychology, but I want all you guys to have this. It's very, very important. You should have a maximum loss set on an individual trade that you want to get in and a maximum loss set for a day that you want to have. So in other words, my traders, okay, have 2 maximum losses. They'll have a maximum loss that they'll take on any one trade, and then a little higher number than that they'll take for the day. And listen, we hit our maximum loss on a trade. It happens. It happened to us today for the first time in 70 trades. We hit our maximum loss on a trade. So there you go. I'm telling you the truth. It happens, okay? But because our maximum loss for the trade was less than our maximum loss for the day, we had 5 other trades after that that got us back all the money and then some. Okay, but that's very, very important. When you get into a trade, have a number in mind of how much you're willing to risk on that trade. And I use, just real quick, a lot of my guys open up a proprietary trading account with $5,000 in it, okay? So I'll tell them $150 maximum risk on a trade and $250 maximum for the day, okay? Well, Avi, most of our guys have proprietary trading accounts, or even, think TD Ameritrade, that they're getting buying power in. So you do not. And that's a conversation for a whole nother day. But you do not need a lot of cash to buy 300 shares of anything. Absolutely not. My guys who open an account with $5,000 have $100,000 in buying power at any point during the day, which is more than enough to start with. And again, that's a conversation for a whole nother day. But you don't. You don't need a large amount of money. Now, because we're day trading, everything resets at the end of the day. It resets. Your buying power resets. If you make money, you have more buying power. If you lose money, you have less buying power. Any questions about a trend trade, guys? Any questions about a trend trade? I'd like to get to one more trade to leave you guys with. But if anyone has any questions about this, please let me know. We still have like 13 minutes. Anybody? Any confusion? It's not that hard. Again, it's a little hard because you're seeing it for the first time. So it's a little more difficult. All right, let's talk about one more trade. And this is where our 65 EMA and our 200 EMA. And we very simply call it a regular moving average trade. Very simple. This is a trade that I will do at any time during the day. I don't care if it's 9:31. Okay? P.S. guys, we do a lot of pre-market and aftermarket trading. My green room, when there's stuff going on, I'm in there at 7 a.m. We spend about 10 hours a day together sometimes. When there are things going on, tomorrow morning I will know I will be in there bright and early because of what happened in the spiders today. I mean, just crazy, crazy action. Great action. Phenomenal action. But crazy. Crazy, crazy, crazy. So I know tomorrow morning, 7 a.m., I am going to be in the room. And we do a lot of pre-market and aftermarket trading. And some of the further away moving averages really pay off when you're looking before market and aftermarket, the dailies, the weeklies, the monthlies. Because a lot of times when things get really out of whack, they will hit those big levels. Okay. Let's talk about a regular moving average trade. And what a regular moving average trade, guys, is now when a stock comes down and hits my 65 or 200, or goes up and hits my 65 and 200. Doesn't matter what direction it's going in. So basically what we want to do is when a stock moves a certain amount and comes down and hits our 65 or 200 EMA, we are going to enter into a trade. So what is a certain amount? That's the number one rule. I need a stock to move at least 50 cents from its current price. And when I say current, within the last 15, 20 minutes, half hour or so, and then come down and hit my 65 EMA. So number one, if a stock moves between 50 cents and $1 and comes and hits our moving average, that's the first thing that sets us up to make this trade. So here we can see the stock went from 71.70 down to 70.88. So almost $1 this stock went down. And it did it in 15 minutes. Good. That fits the first criteria. The faster something moves, guys, on any of our trades, the better the trade is going to be. Okay? So we were watching Amber this morning. Okay, guys, it's 10 o'clock. We're watching Amber. It's trading at, let's just call it 72. We're going to enter into a trade if it hits our 65, guys. Great. 65 EMA is 70.90. Again, full amount, limit order. Stock comes down to 70.90, we get in. 70.40 is our stop. I'm risking 50 cents. Very simple. Here's the big difference between a trend trade and a regular moving average trade. In a regular moving average trade, I'm very quickly going to offer my stock up 50 cents and get out of the whole trade. That's it. A trend trade is the only trade we're going to stay in for a long period of time as long as the stock stays in that trend. A regular moving average trade, we are in, we are out. Most of our regular moving average trades will be done within 2 or 3 minutes. 2 or 3 minutes. And another big reason why these trades work so well, guys, is because we're waiting. We're waiting, and we're being very patient. This stock was all the way up at 72.85. I'm not getting involved until the stock's 71, down $1.85. Down $1.85. VWAP, I'm not going to have time to go over today, Ivan. However, if you do come and spend those couple of days with me, you'll see everything. And guys, you got nothing to lose. It doesn't cost anything. It doesn't cost anything. And then we go over everything, in great, great, great detail. All right, so here's the trade, guys. We're in at 70.80. Stop 70.30, offer 71.30. In this case, boom, stock went right up to 71.30. We bought 300 shares. We made 150 bucks. We're out of that trade. We're gone. Same thing. I was willing to risk $150 to make $150. Again, because we're right much more often than we're wrong. Here's something very, very important. Again, take this with you. This is very, very important, guys, because a lot of traders don't do this. Once we are in at 70.80 and I put my order at 71.30, if the stock goes up to 71.20, 71.25, but does not hit my target, and I do not take my profits, if this stock goes back to my break even, I get out of the trade. I will never turn a winning trade into a losing trade, ever. This is a huge mistake that traders make. We buy here, doesn't hit my target, back to break even, and I let it go down and lose 50 cents. No, no, no. Out break even, we move on to the next trade. Very important that you will see if you just adhere to that one rule, it will save you a ton of dough. Okay? Great if it goes up and hits our target. That's wonderful. And more often than not, that happens. But if it doesn't, never turn a winning trade into a losing trade. Never turn a winning day into a losing day. Real quick about that, guys. Real quick. I walk into a casino with 100 bucks and I sit down at a blackjack table and 30 minutes later I have $800. Walked in with 100 at the table, 30 minutes later I have 800. How much money am I winning, guys? Sat down with 100, 30 minutes later I have 800. How much money am I winning? Okay, Stephen, the first one who typed it in got it right. You're not winning a dime, okay? You are not winning a dime until you get up, walk away from the table, and cash in your chips. Nothing, zero, nada. How many of us have had a day where we were up $1,000 at 10 o'clock and gave it all back and ended up losing money? Anyone besides me? I'm sure there are. I guarantee there are. And I guarantee it's happened on more than one occasion. We'll never turn a winning trade into a losing trade, and we will never turn a winning day into a losing day. Ever, ever, ever. Very quickly, once you have a number that you're comfortable with in trading, and again, these are all rules that I talk about in infinitum when I do my trade, when I do the labs, the weekly labs, and these are crucial. All right. If I'm up $500 and that's a very good day for me, if at any point during the day I give back 20% of that money, I am done for the day. My machine gets turned off and I'm not allowed to trade anymore. Same thing. You sit down, you're winning 700 bucks, you give back $140, you now must leave that table, cash them in, and go home. None of my traders in my green room will ever turn a winning trade into a losing trade and will ever turn a winning day into a losing day. Now, I shouldn't say that. None of my traders in the green room are taught. They are all taught never to turn a winning trade into a losing trade and never to turn a winning day into a losing day. If you follow every single rule that we do, and that's the hard part, guys, it's just the hard part. I know that. I know how hard this is to do. I'll tell you this right now. Once people get to know me, you will know, gotcha, Reed, you will know that I shoot from the hip. I tell the truth. I care about every single one of my traders. I do not do this for the money anymore, guys. I retired 15 years ago. This is the only thing I know how to do. I love how to do this. I love teaching my traders how to actually make a living day trading. People tell me you cannot make a living day trading. Nonsense. It's absolute nonsense. We've had the green room for 9 months. We have made money all 9 months. It's a fact. You can ask anyone in the green room. Matter of fact, when you guys come and spend a couple of days with us, you can ask questions of the guys that are in there. I have no problem putting my money where my mouth is, guys. And you know what? If you're in there for 3 days and none of our trades work, well, then I'm full of crap. Right? It's that simple. It's that simple. But I'm telling you statistics that are real and that have worked for us. If they don't work when you're in there, then you can say, okay, he's just another guy trying to sell something who's full of it. All right. Real quick, let me show you one more example of this because we only have 4 more minutes. 4 more minutes. Oh, I can I use Amber? Yeah. SVXY. This was a beauty today. Gorgeous. Spectacular when the market fell apart. Look at this, guys. SVXY went from 62.38, right? And this is when crazy stuff was happening in the market. And it doesn't matter if it's uptrend or downtrend now. It's an uptrend we buy, a downtrend we short. Just to quickly get to that. And when the market's going crazy like this, and this is where some of the experience comes in. When the market was absolutely tanking out after it went up, I told my guys, no 65, but if this SVXY comes down and hits our 200, we're making a trade. And the stock got down to 57.25. It only went down 28 cents below that and very quickly went up $1.50. So this is another trade that we did based on our 200 EMA. Perfect, beautiful, spectacular. Full size, risk 50 cents. This stock went from $62 to 57. It quickly went down 5 bananas. You don't think we're getting a bounce off of here? Maybe we don't all the time, but I'm willing to make that risk of 50 cents to take very quickly. We got $1 out of this trade. Almost before we can get our orders back out, we got $1 out of this trade. Second time down? Not doing it the second time down. Look here, guys, real quick. 57.40, 56.20, went down $1.20. Look what happened when it hit our 200. Look at that. Boom. You know, I showed you 5, 6 examples. And listen, it doesn't work sometimes, so you take your stop. But 8 out of 10 times it does work. Look at this, 56.18. Very quickly it went up $1. Perfect. Spectacular. Unbelievable. The stuff works. It's that simple. Does it work with Forex? This will work with anything that you can put a chart to. Anything. You know, we trade oil sometimes. And some of my guys trade the actual oil, CL. It works for CL. It works for the E-minis, which is great. A lot of my guys trade E-minis. It works for that also. So, excuse me. Anything that you can put a chart to, this will work. Anyone have any general questions? Because I know Reed's going to tell me it's time to go here. Reed, if you can, please, just pop up. And again, guys, I'm not trying to sell anything. I'm not putting prices up for anything. I'm not doing it. Just pop up for me, Reed, Dave at t3live.com. There are, 80 people in here. Of course we trade short. I love being short. Yes, 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 yes. Long, short, sideways, of course. Absolutely. So Dave at T3 Live, okay? I can have in, guys, just so you know, I can probably have in like 15 to 20 people at a time in for a trial. Next week, I have my actual lab that is completely sold out. So next week, I am not available. The week after that, I will start taking whoever wants to into our green room for a trial. Anyone who wants to. So it's Dave at T3 Live. What is that, Reed? Real quick, can you tell me what that date is, a week from Monday? And then I'll be done. Trial, I'll let you guys hang in for 2 or 3 full days, okay? I'm not going to have you guys come in there for a couple of hours. You will come and sit for a couple of days and watch us trade from start to finish. Okay, so the 28th of September, I can start having people come in, guys, all right? And I can do like 10 to 15, maybe 20 at a pop. So if all 75 of you respond, it'll be staggered a couple of weeks. Or actually what I can do is I can do Monday and Tuesday, Wednesday and Thursday. So that's what we'll do. I can get most, if not all of you who want to in the week of September 28th. Okay? Reed, thank you very much. I'm sorry I went over a minute. Guys, thank you very much. Please take advantage of this. Come hang out with me for a couple of days.